What up, Panther Nation, Ropp Star Gang? Appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Make sure you pound that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. All right, navigating through these treacherous waters here for the Carolina Panthers, man. It is what it is. And, you know, we're going to dive right into it. Jen's in the chat. What's up, Jen? Appreciate you joining the live stream. All right, it's news and some updates. All right. So, Frank writes, running riddle, basically. I mean, so the Panthers offense has really stumbled on the path to balance. So with quarterback Andy Dalton throwing the ball 58 times in this game against Seattle, right? And then the glaring absence of consistent running plays have, I think, created more issues with our team. Apologize for if you hear any work that's going on. I'm getting my floors redone. So, but revealing a team grappling with a critical, offensive issues all over the place, right? Now, despite processing talents like Raheem Blackshear, Chuba Hubbard, and Miles Sanders, really the run has failed to ignite, right? Get itself going. So, right, the head coach kind of shed some light on that team's approach to the running plays, emphasizing they need to adapt in game situations, right? Now, the pursuit of victory in week 3, according to Frank Wright, right, overshadowed the call for offensive, I guess you could say equilibrium, I guess is the word, right? But the coming showdown with the Minnesota Vikings, who ranked 19th in the run defense, really presents a crucial opportunity to establish the run tone early. And regardless of who the quarterback is, really, and under center. So establishing that run game is critical at this point now in time, right? So, and I don't think it could be more critical than ever, right? Especially with a rookie quarterback, you know what I mean? So, but guys, I do apologize if you do hear anything in the background. I have people working on my house, so, and it's been a lot going on this week. So, but anyways, I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Make sure you pound that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. All right. Now, Corbett's return. Okay, so the offensive line dismal performance in week 3 definitely has raised a lot of eyebrows, right? The inconsistency when it comes to pass protection, even though Andy Dalton was able to still command and lead this team with 27 points, over 361 passing yards, 58 pass attempts, 2 touchdowns, right? So the elusive run lanes, right? There's been no running lanes available to this to our running backs, and an abundance of false start penalties definitely has caused an urgency, which I kind of made known in my recent short talking about how Icky had 4 false starts, and but our team in total had 13 penalties. We're just shooting ourselves in the with these penalties. So our team is literally in shambles, especially with these interior injuries that we've had, right? Especially on the interior of the offensive line. All right. So obviously a season-ending injury to Brady Christensen. The right guard, Austin Corbett's has been recovering from his last year's torn ACL that he suffered in week 18. So, obviously closely monitoring Corbett's progress, has expressed optimism about the veterans' readiness to return once medically cleared. I feel that Corbett's leadership and stability have been sorely missed on this team, and the Panthers are relying on some inexperienced players who may not fully prepare or who are not fully prepared for NFL competition right now. Right. So, and then some Bryce Young's ankle anxieties. Apparently there has been some stuff going on that Bryce Young's return, the uncertainty of Bryce returning to the starting lineup, right? Now, Young's initial diagnosis was projected 1 to 2 weeks of absence. And then obviously we see Young as our future quarterback, our franchise guy, right? So the relentless efforts to regain his health were evident as we traveled to Seattle. It worked diligently we worked diligently to prepare for the Minnesota Vikings this upcoming week. Now, the question about Young's status says that the signal caller was available to practice this tomorrow, okay, which remains uncertain until further information emerges. I know social media has been all over this with the speculation. The Panthers have to prioritize Young's long-term well-being over immediate wins. I think because ankle injuries can linger if that's what it truly is. I know some people don't believe that he's truly hurt, but for right now, we're going with it. So making a cautious approach definitely is imperative. The bigger picture must guide their decisions here, despite mounting pressure to secure victories. So we find ourselves in some crossroads, man, just battling adversity on multiple fronts here, right? So what's up, Jay? Appreciate you joining the live stream, man. Okay. All right, let's get into the next one. So 4 crushing disappointments for me from this past game was the penalty parade. It's a sloppy display. There's no discipline. There's no identity on our offensive side of the ball. We don't even have. I feel like we barely have an identity on the defensive side, especially in the secondary position. But the injury bug continues to hit us hard. This coaching dilemma continues to hit us. These O-line issues are continuing to linger on over time as of right now. So the thing is when we basically had a crash course in unprofessionalism and no discipline, because our team literally had 13 penalties in that game against Seattle, and including 7 false starts, which 4 of them came from Ike Ekwonu. Okay. So that's a painful reminder that they were obviously illy prepared for this atmosphere in Seattle. Number one. Okay. Now, if you go back and look at Steve Wilks, how they were successful when he took over last year, which we were led by Sam Darnold, which only deepens the disappointment in Wright, okay, and his coaching staff. The lack of composure and poise was definitely something you could notice on the field, right? There was no disciplined football coming from Matt Rule's time either. Okay, so let's be honest there. But especially from Matt Rule. But from Steve Wilks, you could tell that these guys came out there and played with their hearts. They wanted to win. They were way more composed, way more poised. And I feel like Steve Wilks was he was just a true leader. He could get the guys molded together, bring everybody together on the same page. And he treated these guys not only as like they're his own sons, his family and all that, but he also treated them like not like they weren't family. Like he treated them as like, hey, you're going to do it this way or, see you later. Right. Like it's the same thing. Like that's how you discipline players. Like if you're not going to listen, I don't want you here. Right. That's why Robbie Anderson was gone. Okay. So with Andy Dalton, Thielen, who have exhibited resilience here, their efforts have proved futile in the face of our team's disarray, right? Because of their veteran status. But in that game against Seattle, with the 58 passing attempts, 361 yards, 2 touchdowns, Thielen, bringing in some sunshine in a dark day of our team with 11 receptions, 145 yards and a touchdown, right? So now we have to get ready for the Minnesota Vikings, right? So where, another question is, can us going against Minnesota, can Dante Jackson be that prospect to shut down Justin Jefferson? That's a big question to me because of these injury bugs that are biting us right now. Because think about it this way. Brady Christian's out for the year. Shaq Thompson out for the year. J.C. Horn, I don't know how much longer he's going to be out. Austin Corbett is possibly making his return this week. Bryce Young still dealing with his injuries, right? So obviously our team's depth is going to be severely tested. And then in the last clash, the Panthers were hit with the cruel loss of 4 starters. Frankie Louvu, Xavier Woods, C.J. Henderson, Jonathan Mingo. The onslaught of these injuries have left our defensive thin and even more vulnerable than it has been. Now, with Deion Jones, Sam Franklin, now are forced into extended roles, which, they both, I thought, played very well and stepped in when they and stepped up, honestly. I felt like they made a couple plays this past Sunday. But as there weren't enough, right? Reports of Brian Burns nursing an injury during practice has also mounted some concerns. The timing couldn't be worse, especially when you're going up against a crucial matchup against the Minnesota Vikings, even though they're not having the best of seasons either. And Justin Jefferson is a guy that can turn a game around. He's a playmaker like that I feel like could turn a game around just because of how elite he is. And with the cornerback conundrum that deepens within our secondary, Dante Jackson struggled in coverage. Troy Hill seemed to be emerged as one of our team's most reliable cornerbacks. But expecting a 32-year-old Troy Hill to shadow one of the league's best wide receivers for an entire game is a precautious propositions that I would not feel okay doing, right? I would not feel okay doing. Now, the next thing is the coaching dilemma, okay? Let's talk about that real quick. The coaching dilemma, okay? And amidst in a preseason hype over the Panthers coaching staff, right? Star-studded coaching staff, if you want to call it that. But the reality has been, guys, that it's been underwhelming, honestly. The 3 weeks into the season, the coaches prowess of this assembly is in question. The offense remains predictable, uninspired, no identity. Obviously, desperately needing an offensive coordinator. And I'm thinking Thomas Brown to assume play call duties because, moreover, the alarming lack of discipline displayed on Sunday, marked by a staggering of those 13 penalties that we had, including 7 offensive line false starts, calls into question that this coaching staff's ability to prepare the team for challenging environments. So Frank Wright made some post-game comments. In practice was louder, or this coming Wednesday's practice is going to, or this past Wednesday's practice, he said something like that, saying that he was louder to try to get them prepared for this Seattle's 12th man, scenario, but only compounded the frustration. The echoes of Matt Rule's time here seems to have lingered a little bit with some of these teams with these bad habits. So now we're kind of in a familiar situation with some undisciplined play from our team, right? I mean, I think that's also we got to think about, right? Marcos Cash, I'm not saying anything about 0-3 though. Matt Rule has. I don't understand what you're getting at about Matt Rule, but 0-3. I get that. Okay. I get that Frank Wright's 0-3. Matt Rule never started 0-3, but Matt Rule also has had no discipline with his team. And now we're seeing all the issues that from the time that he was here. That is what I'm getting at. Yeah, but we can still go 3-3. He had a mediocre quarterbacks instead of rookie quarterback with almost no wide receivers. And then another thing is this offensive line, right? The offensive line issues, right? I felt like we had a promising start to the season, especially against Atlanta. I felt like our offensive line did well enough to protect right in that game. But then it kind of has reverted back to the preseason that, again in preseason. I feel, Andy Dalton was sacked 3 times, constantly under pressure, while rushing game only mustered up a mere 44 yards. The lack of push up front has been evident, and it's just casting a shadow of concerns with this team, right? Second-year left tackle Ike Ekwonu. I felt like once held as a bright prospect, but now with 4 false start penalties in one game, that's a problem. And it raised some concerns with me. Okay. Also, false starts have plagued right tackle Taylor Moton and left guard Chandler Zavala. So the whole offensive line had 7 false start penalties in one game, which means that's a glaring indicament of their preparation or lack thereof. No discipline on this team right now, at least maybe from the offensive line standpoint, maybe the whole team in general. Calvin Throckmorton, an undersized guard, struggled to make an impact on this offensive line. Further highlighting the void that the left guard and the absence of starting guard there. Now, with the return of Austin Corbett, who can rejoin after week 4, we are obviously desperately waiting for him to restore and be stable and come in and bring some of that leadership, because the Panthers' run defense also has been reminiscent of some issues as well, which it continues to falter, and it has for a while now, right? For years, honestly. They allowed over 130 yards, 2 touchdowns in that game, despite a healthy defensive line, the interior defense has fallen short, which then leaves your secondary to be vulnerable to play action passes. So, now we're facing the Minnesota Vikings. Luckily enough, their rushing attack hasn't been that good. But I felt like these are 4 pressing matters that need to be addressed and that need to be fixed. Will it be fixed? I don't know. So, the Carolina's hopes teeter on the edge. That's my next topic here. Because the dream once was for us that, with this brimming hope was now descending into a harrowing nightmare for this team so far this season. I envisioned with optimism. I have turned into but now it has turned into a starky reality of disappointment for me. Because after this offseason that was filled with promise, it's now telling a different tale for this team. And to me, it's the harsh truth after just 3 weeks. They go 0-3 because of a lackluster loss to the Seattle Seahawks. And it's a familiar story, struggling to find momentum on both sides of the ball. An all too late awakening. A distressing lack of discipline, particularly on the offensive line. Okay? Mistakes are piling up that wouldn't be expected even from a high school team, let alone seasoned professionals earning millions of dollars. And us as fans have every right, I think, right now to expect more from a coaching staff. Meticulously assemble a great at great expense and we are rightfully disheartened because the long suffering of what we've gone through as fans isn't upset merely because the team is underachieving, which undoubtedly it is. It's because Joe men throughout the offseason repeatedly proclaimed that the Panthers were primed to insert a quarterback to sort of new heights. And clearly that vision hasn't materialized. So only one person can help but wonder if the snake oil salesman departed after week 5 of the 2022 season. I'll get to you guys' comments because I'm really feeling I'm venting to you guys, but I'm also have a point here. So what lies ahead for this team, right? We got week 4 coming up against the Minnesota Vikings at home, right? Anything less than a win can honestly, because both in the short and the potentially long term. And mistakes may be rampant. Frank Wright maintains his belief in unity while acknowledging the need to rectify the individual errors. In his own words, there is belief and there will be no finger pointing. The Panthers stand on a stage of tough decisions right now. Just 2 or 3 losses away from really some crossroads. With no first-round selection in 2024 due to the trade of getting Bryce Young, Federer might be exploring avenues to replenish this franchise capital, which he should be. Panic buttons, I think, are already being pressed, and I think rightfully so. Some should, given the unfolding narrative so far. However, there is 14 games remaining. Okay, a wealth of football left to play. Time, it seems, is on the Panther side, provided the right kind of leadership that prevails within this locker room. Okay, life is often mirrored with setbacks, guys. We know that. But this Panthers team and us fans have endured more than our fair share in recent years. Yet, it's about resilience, right? It's about rising under the new coaching regime and about regaining their once proud stature, right? Keep pounding, right? Feeding the Vikings would be a step in the right direction, especially with a forthcoming bye week, offering a chance to heal, regroup, strategize, right? Because the Panthers and us must engage in a deep introspection from top to bottom. Only then can we hope to emerge from this darkness and embark on this journey towards improvement. Because what else are we going to do at this point? Guys, make sure you pound that like button. I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. What happened to my little? Oh, he's right here. Okay, perfect. Sorry, my Wi-Fi is going in and out. I guess because they're unplugging my Wi-Fi and plugging. I got people upstairs redoing my floor, so sorry guys if I go in and out. So Jen asked, what do you think they can do to help Icky? Can it be fixed if he's practicing every week? If it's not getting better, not sure how to help him. Honestly, right now, his biggest issue is his footwork. His biggest issue is his footwork. He's slow off the line. So whether that's him needing to, it's him needing to work on his footwork, go over the playbook, watch film, right? Study what he's doing right and study what he's doing wrong. Learn from his mistakes. But I would say, his biggest thing is he is slow off the line. Maybe dropping some weight and at least a little bit, and work on getting faster. Sometimes that's what some guys do. They drop weight and they try to get faster off the line. But then that comes a strength problem, especially against power rushers. Now, speed rushers, that's going to help you, but it's his footwork. He's just slow off the line. So bench or bust is my next topic, guys. Bench or bust. Okay. I want to talk about Amir Smith-Marsette first. Okay. We got him from the Kansas City Chiefs. We obviously took a risk by bringing him in. They said he was a versatile wide receiver, kick returner. Had shown some flashes, right, during the preseason, but it was a gamble, going after, right? But over the past 3 weeks, his performance has been anything but spectacular. Anything but spectacular. Because he's averaging 3.7 yards per punt return and an underwhelming present. He hasn't done anything in the passing game. So it might be time to consider other options over him. Chandler Zavala. Stalling role just seemed intriguing, especially with the fact Austin Corbett was out. He looked pretty good through the offseason. In the last 2 games of the offseason, looked pretty good against Atlanta. Didn't seem too bad against the Saints. And then this one was just an abysmal of a performance because, he has displayed promise, but making this thing making his promotion worthwhile has not been anything but fallen short. So the urgency, escalated after Brady Christensen's season-ending injury. Zavala shifted to left guard, which has been far more ideal in my opinion, because of the hesitation and vulnerability to opposing teams' attacks. The constant pressures allowed, combined with a lack of presence and proficiency in creating run lanes, it just paints a griming picture, man. It's maybe prudent to remove Zavala from the front lines, and finding a suitable replacement is another challenge. But at this point, he has shown promise. He's shown that he can start. But I think moving him to the left side is going to be the best thing for him once Corbett comes back. Next one, though, I have to talk about here is Shy Tuttle, man. Our defense with Evero's defense has shown promise this year so far, in my opinion. Okay. It has shown promise this season so far, but the running defense remains a sore point for our team. They've struggled to contain rushing attacks, conceding an average of 136.7 yards on the ground. So even with a fully healthy defensive line, they couldn't plug the lanes efficiently, and exemplified by the Seahawks' success in the running game. And Shy Tuttle, in particular, has failed to meet expectations. As the anchor on the defensive front, his contribution has been underwhelming. And it's time for Tuttle to step up and fortify this run defense. And last but not least, Jonathan Mingo. He's here kind of by default. He's currently he's on concussion protocol after that hit that he took in the Seattle game. Nonetheless, though, his initial performances as a second round selection has been nothing but underwhelming as well. Because the Panthers' offensive scheme quality is a factor. An aging veteran, Adam Thielen, has adapted seamlessly. Mingo, along with other of these younger wide receivers, really need to elevate their game to provide consistency required under center, right? They need to elevate the game to provide that consistency for the guys that are under center, whether it's Dalton or whatever it's Bryce Young. So until he finds his footing, tempering expectations might be the way forward. Because in the start of a season that we are 0-3, decisions loom large for this team now. The path ahead now is going to even be more challenging. And these choices may be instrumental in steering this organization and this team to success. That's just the way it is. That is just the way it is, guys. Everything I just said, I know for a fact is right. Some of you might disagree, but in my opinion, I see it as right. And I've been saying this, and I see everybody's chat. I'm going to get in the chat with you guys here for a minute. Marcos Cash says if we lose to the 0-3 Vikings this season is over. Fire Fitter or promote Dan Morgan. Get on the phone and trade everybody, in my opinion. I don't know if I would go that far, but I'm getting there. I'm trying to remain patient. I really am. But my patience is wearing thin. I'm honestly, I might be starting to become like Q over at the Black Cat Panther podcast. I'm not going to lie to you. But it's starting to get obviously very frustrating. I'm trying to, my patience is like, my patience was here, which is like a 2, so we're fine. But now my patience is at like a 10, where it's not okay. Right. So, all right, maybe I should say my patience was at a 10 and now it's at a 2. No, it's probably at a 5. It's at a 5, honestly, but I'm trying to remain optimistic. Jen, I don't think we can bench Icky. At this point, there's nobody better. you benching him is going to do us no good, unfortunately. I feel like Icky is much more suited for a power zone, power blocking scheme. That's why he did so well last year. Zone blocking is going to take time. The problem is I keep telling y'all this, and I keep telling you this. The problem is the offensive schemes, the way that they're running this offense does not fit these players, does not fit our offensive line, does not fit our running backs, does not fit our wide receivers or our tight ends. They need to be running quick game, which means that they need to be running quick passes, quick slants, quick flats, quick fades, quick hitch routes. Maybe throw in some RPO, throw some screens in there if you need to. Throw some bootleg play action passes. Get the run game going and run a downfield, downhill offense that gets the ball out quick and into your wide receiver's hands. But the problem is then that now the narrative is that these guys aren't getting open. At least when Bryce Young was in. But then we saw with Andy Dalton in there, he threw for 361 yards. And our offensive line, I feel like blocked a lot better in the games that Bryce was in than the ones in Andy than this last game with Andy Dalton. So there's just too much inconsistency from our offensive line, from our wide receivers, and our running backs. It's those three main factors right there that's causing the inconsistencies under center. The guys that are under center, whether it's Dalton or Bryce, because even though Dalton had a great game, those inconsistencies that we saw with Bryce are going to come with Dalton as sooner or later because the other three factors aren't being consistent enough. Let Laviska return punts at this point. I'm fine with that. Throw Blackshear back out there. Let Blackshear do it. That's what kind of Evero runs. He kind of runs that bend don't break defense, like how the Vikings defensive coach, who was the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. We reached for Mingo in a second, and we reached for DJ Johnson. The DJ Johnson one might be the worst pick yet. I know I'm trying to stay excited to go to the game on Sunday, but it's hard with all these losses. Trying not to let it take the fun. No, don't let it take. Listen, the losses are going to come whether you go to the game or not. You can still have a good time, and I've gone to multiple games for the Carolina Panthers and other teams that I cheered for that were not very good that year, and I still had a blast. You just got to make the best of it. Oh, bench IS. Oh, no, not I. Oh, okay. You said bench. Oh, yeah. He needs to be bench. Honestly, got no loss of patience on here. Losses don't take the fun out of it for me. Yeah. I mean, dude. If here's the thing. If me going to, that's the way I am. Like if the games, even if we lose, even if we're predicted to lose, if I feel like we're going to lose or if I feel like we're going to win, either way, I'm going to go have a good time at the games. Like I'm still going to go and tailgate or, go to a bar if I'm not going to the game, right? Tailgate, then go to a bar and watch the game, whatever. Or if I'm going to the game, then I'm still going to have a good time. I still, even though like this past weekend with everything that that happened with, some crazy things that happened this past weekend when I went to or not this past weekend, but the weekend of the Saints game, the day before the Saints game, or the morning of the Saints game, my dog passing away, I still made the best of it. I still made the best of going to the game. So you whether we lose or not, man, and whatever it is, it's, just got to make the best of it. It's all good. Just have fun, Jen. Just have fun. Don't worry about it. But there's a lot of issues, and I've been saying that too. It's like we got promised. I feel like that it's almost like going to a car or going to a dealership, right? And you really want this car, and you Sideburn 21 says, sadly, I get it. They can be, man. They can be. They can be. They can be. I try to talk them out of it sometimes because they've, we've collabed a couple times and I've talked to them and stuff. But yeah, they definitely can be. But it's all good. I get it. It's all good. Clay, join me on the dark side. Oh man, I can't do that. I'm gonna try to keep my patience cool, but I do know what the issues are. I can see them. I've watched. I need to start breaking game film with y'all down. I've been saying that for a while now. I really need to. I think after this week against Minnesota, I'm gonna start breaking game film down, and I'm gonna try to break it down as the best way I can, and not use so many football terms because I mean that's all I really know right now is football terms. But I really need to break game film down with you guys, and I think it would put it in a different perspective, right? But go watch 22. Go watch JT Sullivan. Watch him break the game film down. I tell you, man, it's you can learn a lot just from those things. But another thing is this though, guys. Like the issues that we're seeing now is because we were promised these off-season issues to be fixed with all the off-season moves we were going to make, and that hasn't happened. Obviously, the injuries is also part of this, right? Obviously, losing our starting left guard, losing our starting right guards recovering from an ACL last year, right? Then in this game, we lose 4 starters, right? And then you have JC Horn. You got your future star franchise quarterback out with an ankle injury. Penalties, no discipline. But also we were promised a roster that was ready to go for a franchise quarterback, and that's definitely not it either. I knew when I saw this wide receiver room that at least from that standpoint, like I felt like our offensive line was good enough. I felt like Miles Sanders would be a guy to step up. I felt pretty good about Hayden Hurst because I feel like Hayden Hurst can still be he's a decent tight end. He's decent enough to start in the NFL. He'll get you, 500-600 yards, 5 touchdowns a year, right? But we don't have a true wide receiver one that's someone that's going to get over 1,000 yards every season. That's where we lack. And then a guy who creates separation. So a guy like for example, if we had a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's going to create separation, which causes corners to obviously and the secondary to dial up on him, which then helps your other wide receivers. Guess what? Create separation. We don't have a guy that makes the secondary think. And so then the promises that we were promised this offseason, though, with this adding depth, bringing in talent around our franchise quarterback, our secondary, we're gonna boost up our secondary. We're gonna boost up our offensive line. We're gonna boost up our defensive line. We haven't seen that. We got it's basically, like I said, it's like going to a dealer and getting a car dealership and getting a shit deal on a car because that snake of a salesman drew you in. And then he bent you over and raw dogged you out of some money. Same thing that we're getting with Scott Fitterer. He's basically raw dogging us as fans. No. Like, I hate to be like weird and say it like that, but it's true. I feel like part of me think like, I'm not trying to bring politics into it, but I'm starting to think that like our front office is getting run by like the way the White House is getting run right now. Let's just fuck everybody. So my patience are wearing thin. I was at a 10 at the beginning of the season. Now I'm at like a 5. Scott Fitter is on the hot seat because he made promises that he couldn't keep. He didn't re-sign Brian Burns. Signing Miles Sanders was a bad move, I think. I still think Miles Sanders is a bad move. Whether the offensive line is good or not. You could have probably signed a decent wide receiver for how much we're paying Miles Sanders. And you could have just rolled with Chuba Hubbard and Deontay Foreman like you did last year and would have paid, and you would have had way more cap space. And then you could have brought in Thielen. You could have brought in DJ Chark. You even could have brought in Hayden Hurst and then would have been able to bring in a true number 1 wide receiver. And you would still had enough money. You could have also bolstered up the offensive line. You could have probably brought in Dalton Risner for $7 million at right guard. But he can play left guard too. And he'd probably be a starter. To fix the team, we need to say F the next couple of drafts and trade for T. Higgins. I don't want T. Higgins. I don't think T. Higgins is that good, guys. I really don't. T. Higgins is not a true number 1. We saw it last night against freaking the Rams. He's only had 1 good game in 3 games this season. He's not a true number 1. He's just not. If I'm looking at wide receivers right now who are going to be in free agency, I'm looking at Devontae Smith, who's going through free agency. I don't think the Eagles are going to be able to sign him. I don't think they have the cap space to sign him. They might. Any team in the NFL can mess with cap space. Any team in the NFL can mess with cap space. They can mess with it. The Saints did it for years, especially when Breeze was around. But I would be looking at a guy like Devontae Smith. Let's see who are going to be free agents next year. Most of these guys that are on here have already signed. Yeah, but so Calvin Ridley, no, that's not true. Let's see, NFL free agents. Let's go all teams. Let's go wide receiver. So Mike Evans, Odell Beckham, Curtis Samuel, Tyler Boyd, Cedric Wilson, Kendrick Bourne, DJ Chark, Jamal Agnew, Paris Campbell, McCole Hardman, Braxton Berrios, Jakeem Grant, Nelson Aguilar, Josh Reynolds. So these are all the guys. Tyrell Hubbard, you guys just suck. Thanks, Tyrell. Please tell me something I don't know. Enlighten my memory of something I don't know. So these are guys that are going to be NFL free agents in 2024. I would be looking at Mike Evans, obviously, but his age kind of is an issue. I think Tampa Bay is going to sign him, but his age kind of brings some concern to me, obviously being 30, right? Now, if you could sign him for a deal, maybe like DeAndre Hopkins, I would say maybe let's go for it. I would be bring in Curtis Samuel. I like that. I would bring him in. I would bring him back, I think, would be a solid move. I think Tyler Boyd would be also a good one to look into. DJ Chark. You could bring him back depending on how consistent he continues to, how consistency he can be the rest of the year. I think McCole Hardman with the speed would be an interesting choice. You got Marquise Brown, who could be a guy that you could also reach out to, bring in. Calvin Ridley. I think Jacksonville is going to sign him, honestly. Now, T. Higgins, I'm not a fan. I'm not a big fan of T. Higgins. I just don't see him being a true number one, in my opinion. Michael Pittman Jr., same thing. I don't think he's a true number one. I don't think he's no better than T. Higgins. I think they're basically on the same level, in my opinion. And then I know for a fact, Devontae Smith is going to be a free agent. But I mean, unless the Eagles are able to sign him. I just don't know if the Eagles are going to be able to sign him. Then you got Gabe Davis, who's going to be a free agent. Could be a person to look at, but is he a true number one? No. Darnell Mooney, is he a true number one? He had a decent year last year. We'll say that. So, but has he shown up this year? No, not really. I think that's because of DJ Moore. Donovan Peoples-Jones is an intriguing one as well, but is he a true number one? I wouldn't say so. So getting a true number one wide receiver in the NFL is tough. I like Smith over Higgins as well. Yeah. The thing is with Higgins, Marcos, or not Higgins, but Smith, is Philly going to be able to re-sign him? That's the question. Can they re-sign him? Do they have the cap space? So, Tyrell Hubbard, why would we sign a quarterback when we drafted one in the first round? What good is that going to do us at this point? Just wasting cap space. Jeez. And even if we sign one, I guarantee you there ain't nobody out there. Maybe besides Kirk Cousins. Yeah, Kirk Cousins would be your best signing you could go after. I would not bring in Kirk Cousins. Wouldn't even think about it. Better than what we have. He wouldn't make a difference on this team, man. The quarterback situation is not the issue. The problem is we don't have a wide receivers that create separation. We don't have enough offensive line depth. Our running back, Miles Sanders, is getting paid more money here than we probably should have paid him, and he's absolutely garbage because, no offense, I don't think he was a good signing because only reason why he was so good last year was because he was behind one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. Kirk Cousins is not going to create separation. He does us no good. Andy Dalton obviously did well enough to throw 361 yards off of 58 throwing attempts and get 2 scores. Send Burns to Chicago, draft Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't know if you can do that. Tyrell Hubbard, I'm not going to say that the coaching's a problem after 3 games. But I will say he needs to release the offensive coaching calling over to his offensive coordinator for the reason why he hired him. They need to be running a quick game offense where the ball gets out quick. It makes it easier for your offensive line to block. It's a downhill play style where your wide receivers are running hitch routes, flat routes, screens, a little bit of RPO, slants. You're getting the ball out quick, which is creating separation. That's how you create separation. I saw the Colts. Lamar Jackson is not that good. I don't believe Lamar Jackson's that good. He's top 10, but he's definitely not even top 5. He's a one-dimensional quarterback. And when teams figure that out, when they watch game film, they can stop him. That's the reason why the Colts won that game, because they made it a one-dimensional game for Lamar Jackson. And when you do that, you're going to win. Well, guys, I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Make sure you pound the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please click that post notifications bell so you don't miss out on any time that I'm live. Also, check out the links down below. You can check out the Discord link where you can connect with me one-on-one. The Discord is where you can just basically shoot me a text. But it's a great way for us to build a community and be able to chat amongst each other. And then also, go check out my Instagram, my TikTok, my Twitter. I am very active on all of those. Also, check out the sponsorship of betusa.com. The link is down in the description. Use promo code Pantherology. You get it. Sign up for free today. They will match up to 125% on your first bet. But if you use my promo code as well, they'll actually match up an extra 25%. So they'll match up to 150% on your first bet. So go check it out, guys. I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. I'm going to hop off here. Going to get some more shorts done for you guys today as well. So thank you so much. I appreciate you joining. Tyrell, I appreciate you. Marcos, I appreciate you. Cyburn 21, I appreciate you. Jen, I appreciate you. Get Gooder, I appreciate you. Jay Issue, I appreciate you. So I appreciate everyone that was in the chat today and chatting up amongst yourself. So I'll be live tomorrow. Appreciate y'all. I'm out. Peace.